We'll open it up to any questions that you may have about that particular incident, about fire prevention, or just anything that we haven't covered at this point. And I spoke with him that night briefly, and not a long enough conversation to gather a lot of that information. He did indicate that he thought that the smoke alarm had woken up his girlfriend, and then she had woken him up. He tried to escape out of the door of the apartment. It was just, there was too much fire present there. At that point, he went to the balcony. And my understanding was that he was to go first, and then they would drop the kids. Was my understanding of what was intended to happen, but for whatever reason, they never made it to the balcony. I don't know. I've not heard his update at all. I know the night of, we reported that he had second-degree burns, and I've not heard any further updates on his condition. I'm not aware. Are you able to answer that? Yes, they were found in the same room. One? Oh, I'm sorry. So they were all in the same room with the exception of one who was in a hallway? Okay, okay. Very good. We can. It would take a while to come up with that many, but we could make a few recordings for you, yes. And that was an estimate. Whenever I spoke to dispatchers the night of, as I was driving to the scene, I called them, and they said, oh yeah, we've had probably 10 to 12 calls. So that was in the heat of the moment, estimation, guesstimation, but several calls on this, yes. I heard one. I know for a fact that one was in the apartment building, but I don't know in what proximity to the apartment that was involved. Chief Walker, would you like to say?
I'm Deputy Chief Mike Walker. I'm the Chief of Operations. When crews, while they were still en route and they witnessed the large amount of flame, the first arriving officer actually called for a third alarm response while he was still traveling to the scene. They had fire coming through the roof over at least 4 apartments whenever they arrived. So that was the primary challenge, was just the sheer amount of flame that they had. That was also catching the cars on fire that was out in front of the apartment. So that created a little bit of an access problem, so we had to start using large caliber hand lines and aerial master streams devices immediately.
Did you say the fire was across 4 apartments?
At least, well, through the roof of 4 apartments. There was the downstairs units as well, so there would have been fire in 8 units total whenever we arrived.
Do we know if anyone or 30 residents inside those apartments at the time that had to get out of the water?
There were some of those apartments that were occupied. As far as we know, those residents self-evacuated prior to our arrival, but they would have had to have.
Do we know how many by chance?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Do you know what apartment it actually started in?
No, we don't. They're still investigating that.
That was the Deputy Chief of Operations, Mike Walker. Any other questions?
You said 8 to 10 units?
There were 8 units with direct fire involvement, and there was probably another 10 units to 12 that had smoke and or water damage, but 8 directly affected by fire. There was a fire wall built into that building that actually prevented the flame spread to the east in that building, but there was not one, to my knowledge, to the west. And so, but the firefighters were able to prevent it from doing too much damage. It did get into the attic area, going back to the west a little bit, but they were able to get a really good stop on that to prevent it from being any worse. So, any other questions?
One last one.
Yes.
The second floor, I assume, where you said the victims were, is that floor anywhere in the last at any time?
there was not a floor collapse per se. There was a burn through in the floor. I believe it was just inside or just outside of just inside the door of where the victims were of their apartment. So not a floor collapse in this situation at all, just again, a burn through. Any other questions? Okay. Well, again, we appreciate you being here. We appreciate you helping to tell our story and what's going on in this city. It means a lot to us to be able to keep our residents aware of what's going on. We believe it's impactful to all of us. And as Chief Kelly mentioned before, if we could prevent this from happening again, that's always going to be our number one mission. It's all about lives and property in this city and doing what we can to protect and take care of those who depend on us each and every day. So thanks for giving us that opportunity, and thanks for being here.